absolutely mid. Japan's greatest threat is here, and it's kind of mid. First, let's crack this bad boy open. Super7 Toho Ultimates Godzilla -1. Super7 has taken their stab at bringing to life Godzilla -1 with a nice sculpt, nice paint apps, and a great range of articulation. Before we jump in and figure out how we feel about Godzilla, give this video a like, share, and subscribe. I believe Godzilla is in the 7-inch scale, standing roughly 8 inches tall and 13.5 inches head to tail. In the comments below, let me know if I'm wrong about the scale. Godzilla looks nice next to our Hiya Toys figures. Godzilla dwarfs most of our SH Monstars figures, but looks great next to the larger ones. Godzilla also looks great next to our mid-sized Jigoken figures from various lines. The scale checks out, now let's see how well Godzilla can move. Starting with the head, we can look up, down, left, right. The head is on a very nice ball joint. The mouth cannot open up at all. The neck is on a very nice ball joint, so we can look really far down, really high up, and twist all over the place, so that's pretty cool. Moving down to the arms can rotate a full 360 degrees. The arms can come out to about 90 degrees. Something that hinders the arm movement a bit are the spines right here at the shoulder, so they can be kind of hard to get into that joint to lift the arm all the way up. We have a bicep swivel. We have single jointed elbows. We have a swivel at the elbows. At the wrist, they can rotate very freely and they can also hinge, but for some reason on my figure, they are extremely tight, and I don't want to risk breaking anything, but these can hinge up and down to a degree. In the upper chest, we can lean forward, backward, twist side to side, and lean side to side. This upper chest is on a very nice ball joint, so you can move this around all over the place. That's really cool here. There is no movement in the waist. Moving down to the legs kick forward this much, backward this much, come aside this much. We have a bit of a swivel here. We have a very nice bend in the knees. The feet can tilt and swivel very freely. And as you're tilting the feet down, the joint seems to have a little bit of ratcheting going on, so that's nice. And then finally, we have our long tail comprised of several different ball joints. It's flexible, movable, and serviceable. So this is really, really good. I like this. When it comes to sculpt and paint apps, I'm torn. We'll talk more about that later. Starting from the top, we have our textured, detailed, dirty, weathered, scaly, glossy Reiwa head sculpt with nice depth and variation in the scales. The eyes are yellow with amber irises and black pupils. For the mouth, the teeth have a semi-sharp bone sculpt and the inside of the mouth has a fleshy sculpt. The chest has a textured, dirty, scaly, glossy, muscular sculpt. The scales seem to blend from weathered brown to asphalt black. The arms have a scaly, muscular sculpt with sharp points on the elbows and sharp, weathered claws. The legs have a massive, muscular, black, glossy, textured, scaly sculpt with nice depth and details. Now you notice I keep bringing up that glossy, glossy, glossy. The feet have a massive plated weathered brown scaly sculpt with semi-sharp textured toenails. Spin around to the back, we have our large textured spiky weathered brown dorsal fins in 3 rows. The tail has a textured, thick, scaly, multi-segmented sculpt with the dorsal fins becoming smaller and the scale pattern becoming tighter as we reach the end of the tail. For accessories, all we have is an alternate roaring head that easily swaps out with our normal head. This is a nice accessory, but I just don't understand why not add jaw articulation and swap this out for a proper atomic breath effect part or something. But hey, it's nice and appreciated. Now, let's talk about this Godzilla figure. Godzilla has a weird conundrum about it that has me so torn. At first glance, this figure straight up looks cheap. The heavy gloss on the figure does not do it any service. Some things also working against this figure are the molding seam lines and the naked spots on the joints. These stand out so much that it really takes away from Godzilla and you get this toy-like sense and feel to him. I also think the brown weathering is okay, but it does straddle the line of being excessive. This figure is supposed to be based on the same 3D models used from Godzilla -1, but the head sculpt does not look right. Godzilla kind of looks cheap and mindless. It's just weird. I understand these are renderings, but I don't feel like we got the figure that Super7 promised here. Now, despite my issues with this figure, if you pose Godzilla right and have good lighting on him, he can end up looking pretty cool and actually kind of good. I also like the size of this figure as well. So why I'm so torn, I like this figure and I don't like this figure at the same time. It's really rough, and in all honesty, I'm kind of leaning more towards the don't like side. I do low-key have a bit of buyer's remorse here. It really feels like so much could have easily been done better to make this figure like really good and kind of like a smash, I think. Here is a quick comparison with the SH Monster Arts Godzilla -1. I personally like the SH Monster Arts better, even though he does have the squishy bear face. In the comments below, I really want your opinion. Let us all know which figure you think is better. Now, after all that rambling, let's do some city building. As a whole, Godzilla turned out to be nice. The sculpt is kind of well done, the paint apps are nice, and Godzilla has a great range of articulation. Again, I'm very torn on this figure. I kinda like it, and I kinda dislike it at the same time. After spending more time with this figure, the articulation does help bump it up a notch, but as a whole, I'm not really satisfied with this figure. The weird gloss and the other odd aspects of this figure really kills it for me. I can't really say I'm gonna probably buy another Super7 figure again. As far as a recommendation, I will have to leave that up to you if you think this figure is worth picking up or not. Now, how much does Godzilla cost? I picked up my Super7 Toho Ultimates Godzilla -1 directly from the Super7 website for $85, which unfortunately I don't think is worth it. I don't know how much this figure should be, but I do feel like paying $85 for it is a bit much for what you get. In the comments below, let me know what price you think this figure should be. To learn about the buildings I use in my reviews, or see an absolutely fantastic review, click the links on screen right now. Be sure to follow me on social media, definitely follow me on Twitch, and I'll see you guys in the next review.